Hola amigos de Placer Culpable, hoy quiero compartir imágenes y también las entrevistas que le hice a todo el elenco de la película Reminiscencia, que ya está en la cartelera con el protagonista, ¿quién? Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman se hizo famoso por Wolverine, por los X-Men, ¿no es cierto? Pero sin embargo ha hecho musicales y además yo lo he entrevistado muchas veces y es realmente muy culto, es encantador, es entretenido, tanto que es fanático de la cultura chinchorro. Hace algunas semanas lo entrevisté por Zoom esta vez, donde hablamos de esta película que mezcla ciencia ficción, el romance, un poco surrealista y que se desarrolla en un Miami absolutamente bajo el agua. Allí él tiene su oficina, su lugar de trabajo, allí llegan sus clientes y los somete a una máquina y que los hace recordar el pasado. ¿Para qué? Para recoger los retazos de sus recuerdos. Compartamos ahora lo que me dijeron. Bueno, Hugh Jackman, el protagonista, también la directora y guionista, que es la cuñada de Christopher Nolan. Ya vamos a ver entonces cuál es la influencia que tiene. Rebecca Ferguson, que se convierte en su obsesión. También hablamos con su ayudante y, por supuesto, con el villano. Escuchemos.
The first reason, main reason I chose this character was the writer, director, Lisa Joy. She came and pitched me the movie. She left the script with me, and it felt so original and different and intelligent and moving. I found it very, very moving. And it was the world of that movie I hadn't seen before. And I'm actually, for someone who's been in a lot of science fiction movies, I'm not a massive fan of science fiction necessarily, but somehow this science fiction really made me think about now, about today, about my life, about memory, about love. I did a lot of preparation for the character around being about war, the effects of war, PTSD, and various other things. And and I'm very proud of the film. That's what Lisa does so well. When I was reading it, I thought, oh, this is like a noir film, a classic. This is like I'm playing like a Humphrey Bogart character. And there's, the loyal friend in Thandiwe Newton's character. There's the femme fatale. And then very early on, 15 pages in, I was like, oh, hang on, no, it's not. Oh, this is like a romance. Oh, no, it's a thriller. No, it's an action movie, suspense. It sort of goes off in all these different areas. And I love that. And I think audiences will find it fresh and new and original. Well, I love to say to everyone in Chile, first of all, I cannot wait to go there. I've always wanted to go there. But this film is a big film, as in if you can see it at the cinema, it's really worth it. I think it's a beautiful world, like those big science fiction movies. It takes you to a place that you've never been before. And then it makes you think, and then it excites you and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. But ultimately, I think it'll stay with you for 2 or 3 days after, make you think about your life, about those people that you love, about memory, about connections, truth, all these big ideas. So I hope everyone in Chile enjoys it. I'm going to go back to when my kids were very little. I want to hold them again. I want to smell the tops of their head. I don't even mind if they wake me up and cry in the middle of the night. That'll be fine. I just want to, I miss that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very happy to see you again.
You too, Maria. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who is she and how do I make this work? And then I got the most glorious conversation with a very intelligent woman, Lisa, who broke it down and explained, and it wasn't simple, just the cracks of character that we all have, and how she wanted me to portray them in the view of Bannister, and also finding where herself and her own being was. So we just broke it down. Where did we allow what character type to enter? It was like a puzzle for me. I think because we don't shoot in order in sequence, it was actually number one, when we had done the breakdown of the character and her arc and deep dived into this character, then it becomes a little bit more surgical. So every scene, it's more about, okay, so this is Bannister's memory of the moment when. So where are we coming from? So it's quite clean cut to be able to get the acting that was needed for those moments. And then they had a hell of a job to cut it all together. Pretty glorious, pretty wonderful, light, bubbly, professional, safe, pushing each other, trying out different things and just feeling really, really protected. It's a love story for an actor to meet someone like him.
I was pregnant with my first child, and I had very bad morning sickness at the time. So while my husband was working, I would just sort of sit at home with my dogs on the couch, and I had a little bowl because I would kind of get sick in it. And I had to pass the time. I would write on my laptop. I would write and sleep and pet the dogs. And out of that came a very lovely baby and the script. She's now 7 and she's just so cute. She says she wants co-writing credit because she says that she was writing her part in my stomach. It is tough because when I started writing it, I didn't write it to be any genre. I didn't even write it to see if it would get made. I just wrote something that was the kind of thing I would want to see. And for me, I think a lot of times films, people say, oh, this has heart and it's romantic, or this is action, or this is intellectual, as though those 3 things are separate and can't be combined. But to me, that's what people are. We are heart and we are mind and we are soul, and art and cinema should reflect that. So I kind of ignored genre as a whole and embraced whatever interested me, including romance, action, science fiction, and noir. Yes, I think, when I write, I just try to absorb the things that I see in the world and explore them. So I myself am processing it, and what is undeniable to me is that climate change is occurring, and it will have a dramatic effect on our world and all the people within it. And it's funny, there are scenes of riots in the film, and at one point the studio was saying, is this realistic? And literally the next day rioting broke out in the United States. And I was like, it is realistic. It's actually now basically a documentary. I would be so honored and delighted if you would see Reminiscence, and I really, really hope you enjoy it. I would have a couple, but for sure, I think it would be very nice to meet my husband for the first time again and to experience all that excitement and the unknown, especially now that I know all of that excitement was grounded, because he really is as lovely as I had hoped. So I would like to visit that again. I chose him because he's a brilliant actor who can inhabit any and every role, and he is a true movie star, so magnetic and capable of action and drama. And also in getting to work with him, I realized he's one of the smartest, most generous collaborators I could have hoped for. I would work with him on anything and everything through my whole career.
Thandiwe. There's a silent H. It's so wonderful speaking to you in Chile, because I played I was in Death and the Maiden, Ariel Dorfman's play about Chile, about Pinochet, about the disappeared thousands of people, Pablo Neruda. And I played that role maybe 8 years ago on stage. And I desperately want to come to Chile one day. The history is, woof, how a community can come back together after that. Yes, Reminiscence. It's a movie from the mind of Lisa Joy, who is the co-creator of Westworld, which is when I met Lisa 7 years ago when I started playing Maeve in that TV show for HBO. And then Lisa directed one of the episodes of Westworld, one of the most beautiful episodes in season 2. I wasn't in the episode, which it was a shame. I'd love to be directed by Lisa. So then when we were shooting season 3, Lisa asked if I would be interested in playing this character in her movie. And I initially was so terrified because it's her movie and I want her to have the best. And I'm humble. I surely I didn't want the responsibility just in case I let her down. And, the character, am I really right to play this character? Anyway, to cut a long story short, when she offered me the role. How could I say no? And then I got there, and Hugh Jackman, everything about it, it was one of the most rewarding, fascinating, inspiring experiences of my life. I made some beautiful friends. I was genuinely inspired by Hugh. Daniel Wu, brilliant. Just all the different elements to the film are so like innovative and brand new. This wonderful cross pollination of ethnicities and languages and cultures, and it's the future, but it's the present and it's the past. It was just a dreamscape, and I loved every second.
Saint Joe was a creation of mine and Lisa Joy's. She told me a lot about the character before I even saw the script and what she wanted to achieve with the character. She wanted to create a very memorable villain that popped off the screen. And but she wanted him to be really three-dimensional. So we worked together on creating a backstory for the character and where he came from and how he ended up becoming this gangster. And so all of that contributed to how this guy grew into this person. And then we worked on the look, the hair, the clothing, and even the way he moved and the way he talked. It was all things that we slowly built on over time as we were developing and doing pre-production on the project. I mean, in the simplest way, I describe it as a film about love and loss, and trying to hold on to that feeling, that memory. And then, but obviously, I think there's much more to it than that. But I think that's the easiest, the simplest description.
Yeah.
I think Reminiscence has a little bit of everything for everybody. This is an extremely layered film in that it is, a science fiction, it is film noir, it is a love story, it is action, it has everything. And then it also has beautiful world building. So you have incredible CGIs that create this world that these characters live in. And so I think if you like action, if you like simple things, that there's something there for you. If you like to delve deeper and think about a movie after you've seen it, there's a lot of questions that we throw out there about society, about what it means to be in love, what it means to be, what nostalgia means and living in the past means, and how do we move forward. There's so much there for everybody that I think anybody can get something out of this movie. I would like to revisit my 16th year when I was 16 in high school, because I was able to drive, so I had freedom, but I did have no responsibilities. All I needed to do was go to school and live my life. And I think I didn't appreciate it as much in the moment at the time, but I had a really good group of friends, one of whom has passed away already. So to be able to go back and spend time with those friends in that innocent time of my life would be amazing. It was a really fun sequence to make. I spent most of my career working in Hong Kong, and that action sequence felt a lot like Hong Kong cinema and the way we filmed it and the style of it was. There's so many moving parts that had to work perfectly. With Hugh, his head was in the fish tank, the whole time. And then we're fighting in the foreground. There's so many things going on all around. And then also filming it, we had to do a lot of practical effects. When the fish tank exploded, that was a real fish tank breaking with Hugh's head inside of it. And so all those things were, very nerve-wracking, but also made it very exciting. And that's why you see the excitement of that scene on film, on screen. Like I was saying earlier, there's so much for everybody, right? So we talk, you talk a little bit about climate change. We show this world where it's so hot during the day that you can't work during the day. So people sleep during the day and they come out at night. And you see that all these cities are flooded and that these buildings are submerged underwater. We also see the poverty gap. We see how the rich live and we see how the poor live. It's all a reflection on society today. And if we don't do something about it, where we're going to head. And so those things are really interesting, but that's not the main story. The main story is about a guy who's fallen in love with someone and has, experienced this tremendous loss of her disappearing, and then him chasing after the memory of her and the times they spent together.
La película viaja por distintos temas como el amor, como el olvido, como el recuerdo, la vida en una fusión de géneros, una vida llena de problemas, llena de violencia, de desastres climáticos. A mí me gustó y me entretuvo. Reminiscencia ya está en todos los cines. Hasta la próxima.